So I want to welcome everyone this morning. It's the morning for most of us, but for Yael coming from Israel and anyone else who's not in a US time zone, good evening, good afternoon. And thank you for coming. My name is Barbara Finkel. Most of you know I am currently the president of Seaboard region of Women's League for Conservative Judaism. And I'm thrilled to tell you we have at least registered, not on yet. We have representatives from 18 of our sisterhoods, which is a fabulous turnout, in addition to 5 people from other Women's League regions, which is always nice. This program is the first one for us for this year. And it is a joint effort by our Torah Fund Vice President Ellen Weiss and our Education Programming VP Rona Walters. At this time, I'd like to ask that everyone keep yourself muted. And we encourage you to show your video, but certainly not going to insist on it, but it's always nice to see faces. And the last little housekeeping thing is please put your name in the Zoom box. I saw a few just first initials, some 2 initials. If you don't know how to do that, send a little chat to me or to Ellen or to Rona. Well, Rona is called Addis Israel. um, and and that's really all of the housekeeping. You will notice that Addis Israel has a whole group of, I think, 50 people joining us. They all stayed after Minyan, which is lovely. So at this time, I would like to introduce our first speaker, and it is Rabbi Anina Dasa. Am I pronouncing Dasa correctly? I hope. Rabbi Dasa recently joined the staff of Addis Israel in Washington, D.C. She was ordained at the Jewish Theological Seminary in May 2025. Rabbi Dasa's study was focused on spiritual and pastoral care and counseling. She also holds a Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Inter-Arts Performance from the University of Michigan, an interdisciplinary program combining studies in the School of Art and Design and the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. Rabbi Dasa grew up in Los Angeles. She attended and worked at Camp Ramah in California for 14 years. She was also a rabbinic intern at Princeton University and a BJ Fellow at B'nai Jeshurun in New York City. So without further ado, I am going to spotlight Addis Israel, and there she is. Okay, welcome.
Okay, can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm hoping that you can all hear me. Okay, great. So good morning, everyone. It's really, really nice to be here. I just wanted to, I know we're going to talk about the Torah Fund in a little bit, but I just wanted to first start by saying how grateful I am for the Torah Fund. They help a lot of rabbinical schools with funding, and it's something that I have benefited from. So I'm very grateful for that. And we'll hear more about them in a minute. I'm going to talk a little bit about this week's Parsha, which is different from the Parsha we read yesterday. So Chaye Sarah, literally the life of Sarah, is famously not about Sarah's life. The only time that she is mentioned about the Parsha is actually about her death. And somehow echoes of Sarah reverberate throughout the Parsha that are things that are left unfinished, things that are left unsaid. So there are a lot of gaps in the Parsha that we read on Shabbat yesterday, Vayera, and this one. And these gaps raise some pretty difficult questions. So we just read about the Akedah, the binding of Isaac, and the moment when Abraham nearly sacrifices his son. But we don't think so much about the aftermath of that moment. What does this family look like after Abraham doesn't kill Isaac? And what brokenness arises within the family bonds? So the Torah gives us very little. We never see Abraham and Isaac speak to one another again. Sarah dies, and Abraham and Isaac never reconcile. There are no words of comfort between father and son. The family, once so bound up in divine promise, now scattered and silent. The parsha begins in a place of distance. Abraham arranges for Isaac's marriage, but through a servant, not through conversation. Isaac mourns his mother alone at first. Every relationship seems strained and distant. And the bonds of this family are broken until Rebecca enters our story. Abraham's servant is sent to find Isaac a wife under the instruction of Abraham. When he arrives at the well, he prays, "O God, my master Abraham, deal graciously, aseh chesed, with my master. Let the maiden who offers water not only to me, but also to my camels be the one you have chosen." And so many of us know from this story that Rebecca is kind. She not only offers him water, but she rushes to draw water for his camels. Her kindness is active, spontaneous, and overflowing. It's as if Rebecca restores to this family something that was lost after the Akedah: connection, relationship, chesed, love and kindness. The text never calls Rebecca's actions chesed explicitly, but Rashi explains that she was selected precisely because of this quality, because she embodies the very essence of kindness that once defined Abraham's household. Aviva Zornberg writes that Rebecca represents the essential chesed, the quality that rebuilds relationship, that restores trust and connection where it's been broken. Rebecca also reconnects the family with her ability to bring comfort to Isaac after his mother's death. A true act of chesed. Rebecca fills in the gaps where this family is broken and teaches them how to heal. So while Chaye Sarah is not about the life of Sarah, it is about what the family that included Sarah stood for chesed. It is the reemergence of chesed after silence, grief, and distance. Chesed is what holds the family together, the family, relationships, community. It is what bridges the gap that formed between us. It's what allows us to move toward each other after pain or misunderstanding. To live a life of chesed is to be the glue, to be a relationship builder, to mend brokenness, to notice where someone is missing and make space for them, to fill the quiet spaces of distance and warmth. So we are here today to learn a little bit about how to be more like Rebecca, how to embody these acts of chesed to mend a world that has cracks and fractures. We are going to learn about a group of women who live this value every day through their sacred work, weaving care and compassion into the places that are broken. So may we draw strength from their example and from Rebecca's, so that we too become part of this ongoing mending of our world.
That was beautiful. That was such a wonderful way to pull everything together this morning. So at this time, I'm going to introduce Ellen Weiss, who is our Torah Fund Vice President.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. This year's Torah Fund theme, as you may know, is Oseh Shalom, Maker of Peace. We all know this beautiful prayer and the many tunes set to these meaningful words. I bet one of those tunes just popped into your head, right? In the spirit of peace, we are so excited to present today's program so we can all learn how Israeli and Palestinian women are working towards peace. For those of you who do not know about Torah Fund, and for others, here's a quick review. Torah Fund is the philanthropy of Women's League for Conservative Judaism. For 83 years, Torah Fund has supported the students who are studying to be our future rabbis, cantors, scholars, and lay leaders with scholarships and programming. Torah Fund initially supported students at the Jewish Theological Seminary and now supports students at 4 additional institutes of higher Jewish learning around the world. The Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies in Los Angeles, Schechter Institutes in Jerusalem, Seminario Rabbinico Latino Americano in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and the Abraham J. Heschel Seminary in Potsdam, Germany. To me, this is a big wow. Another big wow is that last year, $1.3 million was raised for Torah Fund. This is all accomplished as a grassroots effort powered by volunteers, comprised of 13 Region Torah Fund VPs like me and hundreds of Torah Fund chairs at each sisterhood affiliate of Women's League. Thank you to all the current and former Torah Fund chairs on today for your hard work and dedication. This group is guided and led by the Women's League International Torah Fund team, and there are only 2 employees. The effort of these volunteers means that more of your donation dollars benefit the students. Thank you to everyone who has already donated to Torah Fund. If you haven't donated yet, I ask you to consider an $18 donation to Torah Fund today. Talk to your Torah Fund chair to find out how. This donation is an investment in our future and the future of conservative Masorti Judaism. This is not a pithy thing to say, it is true. We are the beneficiaries of women before us who supported Torah Fund. You need not look further than the amazing group of people who are on the pulpit and in the classroom at your synagogue. This past Wednesday, I attended via Zoom the second of a 3-part series, Women Rabbis as Change Agents, celebrating 40 years of women in the rabbinate. The diverse panel of rabbis represented graduates from all 5 of the schools Torah Fund supports. They were all brilliant. They taught us how far women in the rabbinate have come and how much more work there is to do. The current students will soon join this illustrious group, and like Rabbi Dasa, will be teaching and guiding us and our children and helping us stay steady on the road to peace. Now I'd like to introduce the Seaboard Region Education Programming and Vice President, Rona Walters. Rona and I work together to bring this program to you, and she is a wonderful partner.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for all of those people that are on Zoom and those people that are here in our Beit Midrash. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Yael Brado-Bahat. Yael is an Israeli peace activist, academic, and the current co-director of Women Wage Peace. After a bachelor's degree in law and accounting, Yael gained her master's in law. She gained a PhD in law from Tel Aviv University, specializing in family law, feminism, and legal history. Yael has been a lecturer at Tel Aviv University and deputy director of the journal Theoretical Inquiries in Law. From 2017 to 2018, Yael was a visiting professor in Israeli studies at York University in Canada. Along with fellow peace activist Vivian Silber, she helped establish Women Wage Peace in 2014. The organization has over 50,000 members. Stressing the importance of women in the peace process, Women Wage Peace seeks a negotiated political resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Since 2021, Women Wage Peace, she has collaborated with the Palestinian sister movement, Women of the Sun. She recently published 2 op-eds this year, one in the Forward on Israel's Memorial Day and another in the Jerusalem Post about why peace in Israel matters for Jewish communities worldwide. Thank you for joining us today from Israel, Yael.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm very excited to be here. You probably know, and some of you already told me that you saw me with my counterpart Rim Hajaja from Women of the Sun just last week. We were hosted in a webinar by Georgetown University, and it's always very exciting to meet wonderful groups of women worldwide who want to hear more about us, who want to learn about us, who don't give up on us here in this region. And yes, I strongly believe, and maybe I can begin with this. I strongly believe that peace in Israel, and I will explain a bit why it is so important in our region, but it's also important for Jews worldwide. I think that what happens in our region affects and reflects on what's happening in Jewish communities or to Jewish communities and to Israelis in the world. And this is just another reason why peace is so important. The first and foremost, it is crucial to achieve peace for our children. This is what makes everyone, each and every one of us here in this region, get out of bed every morning and wage peace. Women Wage Peace was established 11 years ago in the aftermath of the previous Gaza war, the protective edge operation in the summer of 2014, by a group of very courageous women from Israel, from various parts and diverse parts of Israel, of Israeli society, from the periphery and the center, from Jews, Arabs, Bedouin, Muslims, Christians, from the right, center, and left. All came together saying that enough is enough. We cannot go on living from one round to another and another. We've seen it happening until 2014. You know, the protective edge operation is it was considered the big war in Gaza, as opposed to many endless rounds of violence, whether it was just 1 hour of missiles towards the Gaza envelope, or sometimes it reached even the center of Israel. We lost count of how many operations and how many rounds there were until 2014. And then in 2014, after 50 days of fighting in Gaza, dozens of soldiers and Israeli civilians killed and thousands of Palestinians killed, a group of Israeli women said, enough is enough, we need to stop it, and we need to do something else. Well, there are many organizations on the ground, movements and organizations in Israel for peace. The women who established, I actually was not at the beginning. I joined in 2016, right after the March of Hope, but nowadays it's considered like the founding generation. Women said we need to do something else. Well, there are many organizations and peace movements in Israel. There is no peace movement, grassroots movement led by women. So this is one, and we know how much women are crucial to the process, not only around the table, which is, of course, is very, very crucial, and this is something that we work for. So when negotiations begin, women will be around the table. We know how crucial it is for the success of the negotiations themselves and of the agreement that is achieved by the negotiations. We saw it in Northern Ireland, we saw it in Colombia, and but not only then. Women begin building peace now on the ground. And what we're doing each and every day on the ground is fulfilling this vision, Resolution 1325 of the UN Security Council that was published in exactly 25 years ago at the end of October 2000, saying exactly this. Women need to be involved in peace building, in peacemaking, and need a seat around the table. So we've been working since then to promote this idea, and also to promote the mere idea that peace is possible, is achievable, and is crucial for the security of Israel. And of course, it's crucial for the security and prosperity and freedom of our Palestinian neighbors and sisters. We work for that as well. But it's also crucial and significant for the Israelis, because without peace, there will not be security. Without peace, the Israeli democracy will not survive. We have, and I'm jumping a few years ahead, but just to say, we've been saying exactly those words in February 2023, before October 7th, when the protests in Israel began, we approached the leaders. We said, you need to include the conflict and its resolution into this struggle. And they said, no, we are focusing on Israeli democracy. We said, Israeli democracy will not survive without peace. But we were turned down. Today, we can see more and more of those leaders of the protests and groups of the protests saying exactly those messages. But back to 2014, the movement was established. I can talk for days about what we've done until today. It's 11 years now. We're going to mark our 11th anniversary at the end of this month at the Gaza Envelope with a special event on the 28th of November. If any one of you is in the region, please let me know and please come to be with us. And so for 11 years, we have been working without stopping. And thank you for bringing today the story of Rivka. She left her home, she left her community, she left her family, and went to the unknown because she knows this is her destiny, this is her role, this is her shlichut. And each and every one of us in the movement, this is what we feel. Many of our activists, I would say the vast majority of our activists are volunteers. Some of them have been active daily since 2014 for 11 years now, putting aside family obligations, careers, businesses, because we know that it's not enough to build ourselves. We need to build a future for our children here in this region. Thank you. This is an inspiration that you brought here today. So we began working in Israel vis-a-vis Israeli public and decision makers, showing that there are partners on the other side. We, from time to time, cooperated with Palestinian peace activists. Some of them came to Israel to talk to our activists and audiences. We had two big marches, one in 2016, one 2017, where thousands of Palestinian women came to join us. It was in Area C, where women from both sides, Palestinians and Israelis, can come without the need for permits. And we worked very strongly with the communities of the Gaza Envelope. And here, Vivian Silver should be mentioned and acknowledged. And thank you for mentioning her at the beginning. Vivian was there from the beginning. We have a photo of her from November 25th, 2014, the event where the official launch of Women Wage Peace in the Negev, in Sderot, in the south. And she was working daily in the movement. And here I say, I didn't plan, but I will say, Vivian was my mentor. She was a mentor for many of us. But I didn't grow up in this field. I came from academia. And in 2019, I decided to leave academia, to become a full-time peace builder. And I've learned from Vivian everything, almost everything that I needed to know to do my role as a co-director in Women Wage Peace, as a research development manager. I learned from her, and she's actually sitting here with me every day near my desk. I keep consulting with her, and she's missed a lot. And after she was murdered, we had a small gathering. She was supposed to celebrate her 70th birthday in February 2024. So we held a small event, a small memorial near her grave in Kibbutz Be'eri in the middle of the war. And I listened to all of her speeches in Women Wage Peace, and it was like listening to a prophet, because she was saying she was terrified of what was going to happen. She was frustrated and angry that our government, the Israeli government, neglects her community. And she said, if the conflict is going to be managed, it's going to explode. This is what she said in all of her speeches, and this is what we've heard from the communities of the Gaza envelope. For 2 years, we had encounters and tours and the discourse circles and roundtables at the Gaza envelope, trying to bring the voices of the Gaza envelope communities to the Knesset, to the leaders, to say it's not, these endless rounds were called droplets, droplets of missiles. From time to time, there are some missiles on the Gaza envelope, and we were trying to raise this flag and say it cannot go on like this. And unfortunately, we haven't been heard. And before I reach October 7th and what happened and what happened since, I want to talk a little bit about our partners in Women of the Sun, our Palestinian partners. So as I said, from the beginning of the movement, we have been working with Palestinian peace activists, but it was not very systematic. It was not very, we didn't have a very structured framework to work together. And mostly we organized events and invited our Palestinian sisters, and we wanted to work together as partners. We saw how important it was in other conflicts, like in Northern Ireland, like Liberia, where women from both sides of the divide got together and decided to demand together the end of the conflict, to reach an agreement. So we reached out in 2019 to our Palestinian counterparts, the ones who were in touch with us over the years. And together we sat in Beit Jala. Beit Jala is a Palestinian city, town in the West Bank, but it's in Area C where Israelis and Palestinians can arrive without the need for permits. For 9 months, we sat together. Imagine 40, 50 women sitting together, diverse women from both communities. We had women from the right, the left, and the center, from both sides. And what we decided to do is just at the beginning, the first stage, to reach something, a document, a text that we agree upon. Something we said, if us, the women, cannot reach an agreement on something so basic, we cannot expect, those men, those generals and politicians to agree. So let's see, and it was difficult. It was not easy by any means. We sat there for 9 months, 6 or 7 meetings, discussing and debating each and every word. First, we had to agree on concept, but also this was an amazing experience. The translator, we had a simultaneous translator. She stopped from time to time the discussion. It said, wait a second, now I need to explain the Israelis when the Palestinians say freedom, what they mean, what you mean. Or when Israelis say security, what you mean. Because the same, it's not only linguistic, but it's also cultural. The same words on each side have different meanings. So this is what we've done. And we managed to come up with this text. I won't tell you how we called it at the beginning, but eventually, soon after, we titled it The Mother's Call. This is our Mother's Call. And this is it. I will send you later links. We have a joint now. This is something that we've done during this year, during the war. We now have a joint website with Women of the Sun, the Mother's Call website, where you can learn about what we're doing and what we've done. So we came up with this text, and the next stage was supposed to be sitting together and beginning to plan joint initiatives, joint projects and actions. But then COVID hit. So we had to postpone it for a few months, and we reconvened in July 2021, beginning to plan a joint event. At the second meeting, again, all happened in Beit Jala, and during the second meeting, our Palestinian counterparts said we decided to establish our own movement. Until then, they were scattered, and they decided to establish their own movement. And I always tell about this moment that being a peace activist, peace builder in our region, being co-director of Women Wage Peace can be very, very exhausting, frustrating. It's really a hard work, but it gives me and us the chance to witness history in the making. And this was one of those moments. I felt I'm witnessing history. A few days later, they sent us in the WhatsApp group the symbol, the logo, the sunbird. I was standing in the middle of a grocery store in my neighborhood, and I began crying in the middle of the store because I was so excited to see. I said, "Wow, this is going to make history." And we've been working very closely since then, arranging meetings and the workshops for Israeli and Palestinian women to get to know each other. Rim Hajjajra, their leader, one of the founders, and again, some of you saw her with me last week at Georgetown University webinar. And she, first of all, she said that her motivation to establish Women of the Sun was that her son, reached the age when most of his friends and peers are walking in the streets and involved sometimes in crashes with the IDF. And she wanted her son to live. Her son, by the way, now is 20. He's working with her at the office of Women of the Sun, and gives an example to his peers. So we've been working together since then. Rim herself came to Israel 7 times before October, just before October 7th. The last time she was in Israel was September 27th, 2023. Each time meeting in the north, the south, the center, Jerusalem, everywhere. Groups of hundreds of Israelis who came to listen and to know and to see and to witness that there are partners on the other side. There are women. Rim was just an example. She said, "I'm not alone. I have so many with me who want peace and work for peace every day." And then, by the way, on the same day, on September 27th, we also signed a contract with USAID. After long months of hard work with USAID, we managed to obtain a contract of a very forgot the word, the very big project for us. It was the biggest project we held since our initiation. Joined with Women of the Sun of training women from both sides to become peace builders. We targeted women from 2 segments on both societies. One is climate activists and the women, whether activists or work in this realm. With this group, we focused on the connection between climate and peace. And another group was we called it the believers, women from orientation to religion. And just to say, in the Israeli group, we had women from the all currents of Judaism and Muslim women and Christian and Bedouin and Druze. All came together and talking about the connection between religion and faith and peace. An anecdote. One of the leaders, one of the facilitators of the Israeli group was Pita Jones. She's an activist in Women Wage Peace from Jerusalem. She's an Orthodox Jew, and she said something once, and I keep quoting her since. She said, if we pray for it, we need to work for it. So this is what we've been doing in Women Wage Peace and Women of the Sun and in this project. So we managed to build our trust and our partnership for 2 years or so. We officially launched our partnership. It was March 2022, but again, we began working together since the summer before that. So for 2 years, we've been working together, establishing our partnership, building our trust, obtaining those grants so we can work together, so we can bring more women, Israeli and Palestinian women, together to get to know each other, to humanize each other. And it culminated into the event we had on October 4th, 2023, just 3 days before October 7th. Imagine 1,500 women from both sides, Palestinian and Israeli women, together marching in Jerusalem, calling to end the bloodshed, calling to change reality, because we cannot go on living on the sword. Hundreds of women came from the West Bank. Unfortunately, even then, back then, we couldn't obtain permits for women from Gaza to join us. But women, and since October 7th, we cannot obtain permits for women from the West Bank to enter Israel. But back then, on October 4th, we felt, very optimistic, very sure, very hopeful that this is the way, and we can do it, we can make it. Vivian was one of the organizers of this event. She was with us in Jerusalem. She was with us in the Dead Sea. Two other women from Be'eri were with us in the Dead Sea. We presented on stage what we were going to do in the forthcoming year, our plans for the future of each movement and of both movements together. And we were just waiting to, go home, rest for the weekend, and reconvene on October 8th to begin implementing the project. And then October 7th happened. October 7th caught every one of us. It was a Saturday morning in our beds, in our homes. I remember myself waking up. I live in the center of Israel, about 30 minutes from Tel Aviv. I remember myself waking up at 6:29 a.m. Because there was a siren, not in my town, but in the town nearby. And the moment I woke up and heard it, I knew something was wrong, something was different. And how did I know it? I talked about the droplets of missiles, right? Every time there was a siren in Tel Aviv, a few days at least preceded of sirens in the Gaza envelope, and then in Ashkelon, and then in Ashdod, and then in Tel Aviv. And October 7th, it happened suddenly. And then from this moment, we knew that something was different, something that was wrong. I remember myself waking up everyone, preparing the safe room. I have a safe room. I'm very fortunate, very privileged. And then there was a siren in my town. We entered the safe room, and then I began reading the WhatsApp groups. First of all, Vivian, in the group that Vivian was there, it was the group who organized the women, or hosted the women who came from all over the world to join us on October 4th. And we began asking, is everyone home by now? Are there still women guests in Israel? There were several guests in Israel. They managed to get out of Israel the same evening. And Vivian began writing. I hear shouts in Arabic. I hear shots. It's happening in the kibbutz. And as the day progressed, we began to realize what is happening. We began to fear, how many casualties we're going to hear about at the end of the day, and we began to fear what Israel is going to do in Gaza consequently, which unfortunately indeed happened. At the end of that day, and again, I can talk a lot about what happened the same day. But at the end of that day, in the evening, Rim wrote in our WhatsApp group. We have a small group for the teams who work together closely from both movements. And she wrote the following message. She said, "We will remain the hope. Peace will come through our efforts. We will not despair." And from that moment, I don't think that any one of us thought that we were going to stop working together. But from that moment, it was clearer than ever that we are going to work together, to continue to work together. This was the time when we all realized this was the time that our voices are mostly needed. We cannot be silent. So it took us a few weeks to understand, to figure out how we need to amend and change the program. We made very minor modifications, but we continued with this program with the Women Building Bridges, because we knew that even in time of war, we need to continue our work. We need to continue building peace on the ground. I remember when I met for the first time one of the Israeli groups. I told them, thank you for being here despite of the situation. And one of the participants answered, I'm here because of the situation. At the end, one of the participants said that it was like a shot of hope, a monthly shot of hope. When the joint meeting, the binational meetings began, you could see in the eyes of the women that there is breath. It was imagine it was in the summer when in the north there were missiles from Lebanon, in the south there were missiles from Gaza and missiles from Yemen, and the devastation and tragedy in Gaza, and continuous and growing violence in the West Bank. And still, in light of everything, women came and wanted to meet. And one of the Palestinian participants said, I'm here because I wanted to meet Israeli women. I wanted to meet you. I wanted to see you. And then she said at the end, I learned that you also experience fears, that you also experience despair, but you also feel the hope. So we learned that we live very, very different lives, but we share the same motivations, the same hopes, the same fears. And this is for our children, not only biological children, motherhood in the political sense. We are the mothers of the wounded region, this wounded region. This is our responsibility to heal it. And together we can do it. And this is something that the women who participated in women building bridges took, most of them from this project. Unfortunately, we weren't able to continue this project because 1 month, 2 months before the end of the official end of the project, USAID was shut down, and then we lost the ability to continue. Fortunately, we were able to complete almost the entire project, and with a very generous private donation, we were able to complete the entire program. But we cannot continue now. We're looking for ways to continue this program. So this is what we've done since October 7th with Women of the Sun, but it's also important to highlight what we've done here in Israel by Women Wage Peace. We never stop, just to say and highlight in this regard that Women Wage Peace and Women of the Sun, when Women of the Sun was established, we determined that we're going to be two separate movements, two independent movements who work together, because each movement also works with its respective communities. So just one last thing that what we've done, and we'll open it to remarks and questions. Since October 7th, first of all, we have a daily vigil of a group of women from Women Wage Peace standing every day with the families of the hostages since the second week of the war. Why the second? Because during the first week of the war, we all thought that soon enough, all the hostages will be back home. We never even imagined that we will have to fight for it, not to mention 2 years of fight for it. So we've been standing with the families of the hostages. When the live hostages finally came back almost a month ago, I wouldn't even say discussed. We in this group, the team who stands every day with the families, we asked, are we continuing to stay? And they said, of course, until the last one is returned. We even created this sign, we don't remove our pin until the last hostage is back home. I would say that it may take years, so we're considering now what we're going to do. But we are not giving up, and we're going to be with the families until everyone is back home. One other prominent thing that we've done since, and again, we've done a lot. I won't talk about everything. We kept our connection with, I would say 2 things actually. Kept the connections with Israeli politicians, mostly from the opposition. Unfortunately, nowadays, these are the politicians who want to talk to us and promote our vision and the missions. We did create, we were part of the leading team who created the It's Time Coalition. And the It's Time Coalition is the coalition of 60 Israeli peace and organizations and movements came together after decades of working apart because we don't agree on 10% of what we're doing, and we kept arguing on those 10%, and then we said, okay, we need to come around the 90%. that we agree upon. We had in July 2024, we held our first public event in Tel Aviv, in Chal Menorah, in Yad Eliyahu, and since then we've been working together. And we know that we're strong together. And in this regard, it is also important to mention that Women Wage Peace is in partnership with many organizations and groups in Israel, of the hostages, of the mothers of soldiers, of other peace organizations. And we found ourselves in this position with each coalition that we're part of. In each coalition, we bring to the table the voices who are not there. So if there is a coalition focusing on the hostages or the soldier, we said we need to talk also about the people of Gaza. And if there is a coalition focused on the people of Gaza, we said we need to talk also about the hostages and the soldiers. And so we brought those voices, diverse voices, to each coalition that we took part in. And the last thing that I want to mention is something that we want to also continue this year in 2026. Earlier this year, in 2025, we launched a media campaign titled A Political Agreement is a Security Mean. And our aim, and we want to continue it now, our aim is to reach out to Israeli audiences who are not the immediate audiences of Women Wage Peace. What mostly interests them, and rightly so, is the security of themselves, of their children, their family, of Israel as a country. And what we want to show and convince is that 2 years of war haven't brought about security. Okay, it didn't change the situation in Gaza. It even made it worse. It didn't change weaken Hamas. Hamas is getting stronger now. What we need is a political agreement that will bring security to Israel and to the region as a whole.
Excuse me,
We're very
Rado.
encouraged, but yeah, just one last thing. We're very encouraged with what's happening now in the region. We hear voices of change, and so we're very optimistic. But there is so much work to do in Israel and abroad. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yael. And I know this is being recorded. Can you hear me?
Yes, Rona.
Yes.
Okay. We want to see if there's any questions in the chat. Okay. I'm looking at the chat and this is a new system for me in here, so give me a moment to one of the questions is, you know, what can we do? You say it's important for world Jewry to know what you are doing, and that was your article in the Jerusalem Post. So what can we do? You know, we're a synagogue in Washington, D.C., we're a sisterhood. What would your suggestions be?
So first of all, as I began with thanking you for not giving up on us, and this is our first request: don't give up on us. We know that the most, the world and Jews all over the world know mostly about the killing, about the atrocities, about the war, about the bloodshed, and not enough people in the world know about peace building in the region. Even, you know, I had this discussion last year with the war, very veteran, very famous war reporter, and I told him, why don't you report about the peace efforts? You only report about them when peace negotiations begin. But there is so much work on the ground so if everyone knew about it, peace negotiations would have begun earlier, and we could have saved lives. So first of all, we need you to spread a message that it happens. It's happening on the ground in the region. Thousands and tens of thousands of people on both sides work daily for peace to happen, working for reconciliation, work vis-a-vis their decision maker, the leaders, work to elevate the popular support for peace. Women of the Sun are working with their communities, not only, and you heard Rim last week, not only with the Israelis or with Women Who Wage Peace. They also work with their communities on empowering women in vocational training, in economical training, in political education. So more and more women are involved, are aware and involved, and we need the whole world to know that it's happening in this region. We need connections to media, to decision makers. We don't ask other governments to pressure either side. We know there are Israelis who call for sanctions on Israel. We say in Women Who Wage Peace, sanctions are not the option. Okay, of course, Israel does not need to be rewarded for what it has done in Gaza and what it's doing in the West Bank, but sanctions most of the time hurt the people like us who work for peace and work against the government policy and protest against government policy. And it also enables the government to say, the world is against us, so we need to fight harder. If you recall Sparta, yes, the Sparta speech a few months ago. But we need connections to everyone who can make a difference, who can help us in the world, and to media. We need to spread this story. So you can invite, I was very generously invited here this morning to talk to you. Whenever you invite us, we will come. I'm not the only one. We have trained on both sides. We have trained public speakers. We have speakers. I see Caroline is here. Speakers in the trained speakers in the US. Invite us. We are many. We can be featured in many occasions and events. We need funding. Funding is a very big problem, not for only for Women Wage Peace, but for the entire peace camp here in the region. Peace is underfunded. Women are underfunded. Women peace activism is underfunded. And now with the Out USAID, we need more sources. We do try, and this I will say very honestly, in Women Wage Peace, we try to reach out to private foundations. We reach out to Israeli foundations because we are a grassroots movement, and we want to show that there is a popular support. And just as an example, we just completed last week. Today, we really closed finally our annual crowdfunding campaign. So I won't say how much we raised. We raised more than we expected, but what I wanted to highlight is that there were over 2,000 donations to the campaign, meaning 2,000 people in Israel, and 75% of them from Israel, who said we want to support peace. And we need every support, both financial and moral support, for us to continue. It's very difficult. It's exhausting. But for us, it goes without saying. It's very obvious. And as our slogan said in the beginning of the movement, we won't stop until we reach an agreement.
Thank you. And I just want to do a shout out to my friend in Israel, Elisa Barpal, who I know is on this Zoom, and she was the past president of our sisterhood. I think we're going to have to stop there because of the time. And I thank you so much, but I just want to end with one thing. The other day on the webinar, there was a high school from Northern Virginia, and there was a question that I thought was very interesting of a young person in high school. What can we do and how can we help? And you, of course, suggested that, you could speak at their school via Zoom, of course. But what stuck in my mind is you said, let's tell this to men. Let's communicate, it's a women organization and a peace movement, but let men know what the women are doing. So Barbara, if you have anything else to say, or Ellen, I think we're going to thank Yael, and I look forward to meeting you and seeing you in person next summer in Israel.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll add my thanks as well. That was thank you so much for speaking with us today and for, devoting your life to this work, because if you don't do it, I don't know, how many people will. Um, I just, I don't have the answers, and I hope people like you can find some. Um,
Mm.
Thank you. Ellen,
Yeah.
do you have anything to say? She might be on mute.
No, I'm here. So thank you, Yael. Everything that everybody else said, and especially thank you to everybody who's here today. Yael gave us a mission, so now we have to go spread the word and keep this as part of the conversation going forward. And if you have any questions, just email Barbara, Rona, or I through Seaboard, and we'll try to get some answers back to you. We can communicate to Yael. We wanted to keep this short, so for those of you who have questions afterwards, just let us know. We'll put it together in the email and get back to you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And
Yeah.
make sure the
Thank you.
$18 donation goes to the Torah Fund and a donation to Women Wage Peace.
Yeah, and I do want to thank the sisterhoods who sent donations to Seaboard to help sponsor today's event. So thank you all for that as well. And just to end, I'll put in a plug. Our next program is in this exact same time slot, Sunday morning at 10 on February 1st, and it's also going to be coming to us from Israel. We'll be speaking with members of our sister Kehillah, Ya'ar Ramot in Jerusalem, and about how we each celebrate Tu B'Shvat. So if you can put that in your calendars. So
Thank you.
okay.
I'm
Have a
wishing
wonderful-
everybody health and happiness.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yael, thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Ellen.